Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just gonna do a quick match reaction. I know it is delayed, but yeah, I've been busy, so just gonna do a quick one. It's not gonna be too long tonight. But yeah, welcome back everyone if you're watching this. If you haven't already, subscribe, and if you're watching this, like the video. Yeah, just gonna quickly touch on Aston Villa. 1 Man City nil. Aston Villa away has been difficult for us. Our head-to-head there recently hasn't been great. We've not won there since 2021, so it's been a long time. And I think even in 2022, we drew. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. Well, we're still waiting. So yeah, it's one of them things. I think going there at this point in the season when they're in good form and we're doing okay. I don't think we're anywhere near our best yet. I think that will come with time. But yeah, I think we'll have to obviously see what happens going forward. It's a long season. Like I say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we'll see how it goes as the season goes on. But yeah, about the game, I did watch most of it. I was kind of at work, but I did get to watch the majority of the game. I did miss the first sort of 15 minutes though, so I didn't see Villa's goal. So I have looked back and looked at the highlights of that. It was a good goal from Cash. I think he took it well. The closest City players to him when he took the shot was Bernardo Silva and Erling Haaland. So ideally, you want a defender to be closing them down, but based on how he took it and the situation as it was, they were the closest. Ruben Diaz did try to block it, but obviously missed it. And yeah, Donnarumma didn't get to it. So yeah, decent goal from him, well taken. But I think overall the game was not great from City. I think we're still trying to get to our best. You can see what we're trying to do. It's just not really working at the moment. I think obviously Nico being in the squad makes us better. And when he came on, we did get better. But obviously he's just back off an injury. So I understand Pep being cautious. I do get it. Last season, I think, was a bit of a wake-up call for Pep in regards to Rodri, because there was a long time that Rodri was saying, I can't maintain this week in, week out. Like, I need help. And the club kind of ignored him to an extent. Like, we didn't bring in anyone to help him, really. I know Calvin Phillips came in, but he wasn't suited. So yeah, he needed help. And I think him getting injured really showed Pep, we need to manage minutes now to make sure that players stay fit. So yeah, I don't think he wanted to rush Nico back, which is fair enough. I think that's probably the right decision. However, obviously in this situation we ended up losing the game, so not ideal. When he did come on, obviously we looked a little bit better. I still think the passing is not great at the moment. The final ball's not always brilliant. It's just not finding who it needs to find. Obviously, Haaland is Haaland, so he's scoring a lot of goals. But in regards to the overall team, I think all the attackers need to contribute more. Because you can't just, even though we play for Haaland and the way that we play is set up to find Haaland, like that, there's no denying that. I do think sometimes others need to maybe chip in with some goals, when it's not working, or when, teams like Villa, they're very physical. They're just going to kind of try and cancel out Haaland. So we need almost like a plan B for when it's not Haaland's day, or, they're dealing with Haaland, So Savinho, a lot of people are getting onto Savinho. I think he should have scored. To be fair, Villa did get a little bit lucky with that clearance, because 9 times out of 10 that ends up in the back of the net, and unfortunately for them and unfortunately for us, it ended up being a great clearance. I mean, we've done it ourselves, so can't really complain. But yeah, Savinho should score that. There was another chance Haaland had. I know Haaland did score the second chance. the chance later on in the game, but Marmoush just a fraction offside. It's a little bit annoying. But the move was nice. It's just he just went a fraction too early, unfortunately. The first chance Haaland had, where he shot it straight at the keeper, I think he could have maybe done a little bit better, maybe just lift it over him, but it's easier said than done. It's not the easiest chance. But yeah, if he scores that, completely different game for sure. Villa had a few chances too where they could have scored. So yeah, I think overall we definitely didn't deserve to win. Probably deserve maybe a draw overall, but at the end of the day, you get what you take out the game, and we didn't score, so we didn't win. So there was a penalty shout. For me, we've seen them given. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, he pushed him, but there wasn't much in it. Doesn't really matter. We've seen them given before, but I'm not going to blame that for the reason why we didn't win, because ultimately we weren't good enough. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Big up to Sammy in the comments, always showing support. You ain't beat them since that Bernardo Silva goal. It was a midweek game, I think. You know what? I don't even remember the last time we beat him, to be honest. I remember I was doing a live stream, like a watch along. One of the years we won the league, and I remember I'd not even turned the game on, and we ended up going 1-0 down. I think we lost that 1-0 as well. I might be mistaken. Might have been 2-1 or something, but yeah, Villa away is not easy. It's not an easy game for us. You have sort of bogey teams. Villa for a long time we used to beat. And we do at home, Aston Villa at home. We've won, for the past however many years in a row. So I think it's just one of them grounds. You go there, some grounds, there's a little bit of and I think when a team beats you, and I always say this, when a team beats you one year, the next time you go there, it's always that little bit harder because they have that belief that they can beat you. We had it with Spurs for a long time, where it was kind of like Spurs just had our number, and every time we go there, it doesn't matter what form they're in, they just pull some out of the bag. And I feel like with Villa recently, it's been like that. So yeah, never an easy game. I did predict 2-1 City just because I don't ever predict the result against my team, even if I feel like don't think we're going to win this. I will never bet that we're going to lose. However, yeah, it's one of them. I'm kind of not really shocked by the result as much as I wanted to win. But yeah, I think City will be fine. There's a few players in our squad that haven't quite clicked yet. I know Reinders had a good debut, but then after that he has struggled. It is a different league. Italy is a bit slower. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to take him some time to catch up, and he does need to do better. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's fine, because he does need to do better. Doku, a lot of City fans have been on his case. He was, after he sort of came back from the first international break, he was brilliant, and then he went away again, and when he's come back, he's just not found that form that he had before. However, he will still get into good positions. He will still put crosses in. But yeah, he needs to be a little bit more clinical, whether that's finding his man in the box or actually putting the ball in the back of the net. He needs to do better. Savinho, as I've said earlier, he needs to improve. He did okay last season in a City squad that weren't great. I don't think we were good last season, and he was okay. He was all right, but I think he needs to take that step up now to be like, right, okay, I'm going to be a starting winger for this club, because the club have shown faith in him. There was rumours of him wanting to leave. He didn't leave. He stayed. He got given a new contract. So he needs to kind of, put his money where his mouth is. He needs to get on the pitch and show people that, he was worth keeping. So I do think he needs to improve. I think he will. He's still young, but it's, at a team like City, you don't have as much time as you might have at another club. So I do think he needs to improve. I think it's very obvious. I think if him and Doku don't improve, I could see us going into the window and signing another winger, because we can't really rely on Haaland scoring all our goals. It's not it's not going to work all season long. And don't get me wrong, I know that Haaland scoring most of the goals is not a problem in itself, just because that's how we play. But when he's not having a good day, other people need to step up, and I feel like that's not happening. Maybe if he's not playing, it's different because they're not looking to him to score. But at the moment, when he is playing, they need to, when Haaland first came, he used to distract all the defenders, basically. So other players were getting more and more opportunities. Whereas I feel like now when they get them opportunities, they're just not taking them. Like, the chances that they're getting, they're just not putting them away. And whether that's great defending from the opposition, or whether it's just they're not clinical enough, or they get taken out, or whatever happens, they just don't seem to be putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think with some of them, it's confidence, like we've seen with Foden last season. Like, he had some issues going on behind the scenes. I don't know what they are. There's lots of rumours about what it could be, health related. There's even rumours about his daughter. I don't think that's true, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes for him. It's obvious that was true. And Pep alluded to that as well. He came back this season. He looks better already. Like, he definitely doesn't look like the Foden of last season, where he had very low confidence, and it was obvious he was dealing with something off the pitch. But at the same time, he's creating chances, to be fair to him. He created 7 in that Villa game, all from corners though. Again, our corners, set pieces, not great. We need to improve on that. I did see someone today that was saying that if we fix that issue of set pieces, then we fix the other issues that we have, because it's not always going to be Haaland from a set piece. Ruben Diaz used to score goals, John Stones, these sorts of defenders that they can score when from a set piece. Do you know what I mean? It's not just going to be Haaland. Even if, Haaland heads it down, there's no reason why Oscar Bob can't put it in from when it drops down. So yeah, I think we definitely need to improve on that. That's been a while, been the case for a long while now. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I'm not reactionary like a lot of other fans. Like, at the end of the day, we are early in the season, 9 games in. I posted today on Twitter about how this time last season, Man City were top. And look how our season went. And I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to fall off like City did, because there's no reason for them to. But they will drop points, because every team drops points. Even when you win the league, you drop points between now and the end of the season. And if you don't, you get in over 100 points and you're going to be the best Premier League team ever. So it's one of them things. It's unlikely they don't drop any. So yeah, 6 points at this stage in the season is not what people, like to make out like it's the end of the world, But at the same time, City do need to fix up, and we need to get better and better, because if we allow ourselves to get into sort of what happened last season, where it was just like a knock-on effect of losing, then it's going to become a problem. But yeah, big up to Patrick every time for the raid. Thank you. Thanks guys for tuning in. Big up to Prime. Sammy says, I watched the first 55 minutes before the Clasico started. Villa were good in that time. Yeah, I think City started okay. The first sort of 10 minutes, everyone was saying we played quite well. And then, yeah, the first half wasn't great. They scored. We didn't look like scoring. Second half, I think that Haaland chance was in the first half, actually. Second half, little bit better when Nico got into the game and stuff like that. I think there was a lot of fouling in that game. It was very stop-start. There was a lot of like lying on the floor, injured and all that crap the whole way through. So, I mean, stop-start football doesn't benefit City, because they like to be in flow. Even when we're not at our best, we like to keep the ball moving. We like to be able to control the game a little bit. And when it's like stop, start, you can't get a grip on the game, which works obviously for Villa in that situation, because they stop Man City from doing what they want to do. But from a Man City point of view, we struggle under under them circumstances where it's like very stop-start and we just can't get a grip, especially when we're 1-0 down. That's why I prefer, obviously, when we can, to score first, because even if we win games, it's always tougher when you go 1-0 down, obviously, for anyone. But I think with us, even more so, because once we go 1-0 down, the opposition team, because it's Man City, they tend to think, oh, we can defend this. We can defend this goal. We can defend this lead. And then it just naturally makes it harder to try and get at them, which is fair enough. I'm not getting on to Villa about that. They should do what they need to do to win the game. And they did that. So fair play to them. Villa beat PSG and Bayern last season at Villa Park. Yeah, Villa Park's not an easy place to go. It really isn't. But yeah, how many minutes did Cherky get? Jan, I missed most of the second half. He didn't get very much. I think it was about the 86th minute. I might be wrong on that. When he came on, it was quite late. Marmouche didn't come on till even later. I think for me, Pep should have made them subs earlier. You could see that Cherky was needed in that game. Things weren't working, passes weren't getting to each other. Like there was a lot of misplaced passes and stuff like that. I think Cherky coming on earlier would have helped us, definitely for sure. But I understand he's just come back from an injury, and I know Pep definitely wants to keep these players fit, and I think he's willing to maybe even take a loss in this circumstance to make sure that he's there for the foreseeable. Just because we can't have these players in, out all the time. We need to get everyone fit so we can go on a bit of a run. Hopefully a winning run. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. He's obviously just come back, but I think Cherky will help. He's definitely better at some of the attacking attributes than some of our other players. So there is that. Savio's not been great. I don't know what's going on with Savio at the moment. He has like a good game and then the next game he's not great. It's just there's not really consistency from him. We need to see that. Haaland needs some help. True, he does. I have seen it actually. You know what? I love Haaland. He always just comes across as like a really down-to-earth individual. Like, considering he was the son of a footballer, he grew up rich. He's not like, one of these guys that grew up with, regular people, so to speak, and then became a footballer. He's not. Like, his dad was a footballer, so he's had a bit of a different lifestyle, but he just comes across as so humble, so normal. I love the fact that he has like a Manchester accent and then he like switches to like his Norwegian accent. It's just, I love it. The Dugout Football Channel. Hi, Jan. Nice to see you back on YouTube. Thank you. I know it's been a long time, Doug, but we're back finally. The wingers are not reliable. Semenyo would be a great buy. I think everyone's going to be after him. Honestly, everyone is going to be after him, Patrick. That is Patrick, right? I think that's Patrick. But yeah, everyone's going to be after him. It's just where he wants to go at this point, because I don't think there'll be any of the teams that are not. Ryan says, none of us win the league. We're both useless. You're better, but not league winning good enough. Trust me, it'll show. I mean, right now I have to agree, but I think it's a long way to the end of the season. So we'll have to see. There was a stat today actually that said Arsenal have had this many points for 7 seasons and they won one of them. So it's not over yet. Maybe if it continues like this into next year and we're losing games and Liverpool are losing games, then yeah, it'll be a completely different situation. But I mean, this is our first loss in 9. Liverpool, even after this terrible run, are still 1 point behind City. 7 points behind. Like 7 points is not that big. You think it's big, and then you get to the end of the season and you see that teams that are 7 points move up and down. So we'll have to see. Big up Lord Wakanda every time. Yeah, that's Yeah, Bernardo played in Haaland early in the game. Yeah, that's the chance I was talking about. I think Haaland could have buried that, to be honest. I know it's a difficult chance and it's easier said than done, but I think he could have put it over him, you know. But he has scored that same goal so many times. Maybe he just thought, I mean, Villa have a good keeper, so it's maybe against a different keeper it goes in. But yeah, is what it is. Wasn't his day. I mean, he did score, but it was offside. It's just a shame that he didn't score that one. Mohammed says, big up, Jan. Please tell your team, rise. I'm getting worried about Arsenal now. It's hard scoring against them. That is very true. They have a very, very good defence. I feel like with Arsenal, I don't think they'll lose a lot of games. I don't think they will. I think with Arsenal, where they may struggle is attacking wise, they seem to score one goal, you know, one, maybe two. And I think where they might struggle is if they end up in a situation where it's not their day. And everyone has days where they're just not going to score. Like us against Spurs, as I said last time, like we could have played all night. We were not scoring in that game. And I think if Arsenal have a game like that where they're just not scoring, nothing's working, they're hitting the post, they're hitting the crossbar, it's just not going in, and then the other team get a set piece or a penalty, which can happen, and then they might lose that. But I think in general it'll be more likely to be a draw, where it's like it's not their day, they also don't concede, and then it's 0-0, you know, or something like that. So I have to see, like, everyone obviously has them as favourites. There's a very clear reason for that. I just personally can't rule out a Pep Guardiola Manchester City until it's mathematically impossible, because I've seen this team, even when they're not at their best, be in title races. And every time they're in a title race, they tend to come out on top. So until I see different, I can't rule this out. I'm not saying we're definitely winning it, because I don't think that's the case. I think it's a three horse race. I think Liverpool, even though their fans are having meltdowns, they're still in this race right now. Maybe if they lose the next 4, lose the next 5, then we can start talking about maybe they're not. But for now, it's way too early to be having that sort of meltdown that it's done. Ryan, he's here to hate on Cherky again. I stand by what I said all along. Cherky won't be a regular starter under Pep. I think he will. Pep really rates him. I don't know if you saw the comments from Pep. He's just come back from injury. Pep is not rushing no one back. He's not rushed Marmoush back either. He learnt his lesson from rushing Rodri back. He's not doing it this season with anyone. So yeah. Big up to Flawless every time. Neeks, it's been a long time. Big up, Jan. Don't let United finish above us. We don't have to worry about that. You always finish above us in the first half of the season. But it's the second half of the season where it matters. Big up to Adam. Definitely smash the like button. And Mbappe had a crazy goal dislodged in the Clasico too. I didn't actually catch the Clasico, but I believe that you won 2-1. But yeah, I haven't actually seen it. Big up Luca again. He's thinking City will win the league. I just think it's way too early to know at this point. Can we win it under Pep? Yes. I think we've got a good squad. I don't think it's at its best. I think we will add to it. We are in a rebuild. A rebuild doesn't happen in 2 windows. You know, it is going to take a few more windows. We had a few things to achieve in the summer. One of them was to basically reduce the amount of players we had, because we didn't have, when we brought in the new players, we didn't have many spaces left, European spaces left. So when we brought players in, we had to get rid of players to replace them in like the Champions League squad and the Premier League squad. Not so much Premier League squad because it's a bit bigger, but Champions League squad, there's only a certain amount of numbers you can have. You end up leaving people out. Pep doesn't like doing that. He wants, I think with Pep, like, he wants to build a team, not just a starting 11. And I think what happens is if you play the same team week in, week out, you get a great starting 11, but the rest of the team, they don't really feel involved. And when they don't really feel involved, 2 things happen. Either when they do play, they're not embedded in the team properly because they're not playing week in, week out. So they're not building those relationships with the players. If they're getting 10 minutes at the end here, 10 minutes at the end there, it's not the same. That's like what you'd expect from like an academy graduate who's not quite there yet. So he wants them to be able to play. So if he has to throw them on in the 15th minute, they're not shell-shocked. Do you know what I mean? They're able to play the game like they started. Do you know what I mean? And at the same time, he wants to keep people happy because, as I've said a few times, I think with players nowadays, they're less willing to wait. They're less willing to wait for their turn. Do you know what I mean? So if they believe that they're, great and they're the best in their position, which most of these footballers do because they've been told from when they're young, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. So they believe that they are. And then they're looking at their age mates doing it in other leagues. Yamal's young. They're looking at Cole Palmer. They're looking at players around their age and thinking, well, actually, that should be me. So it's hard to keep these players happy and keep them settled at the club, So I think Pep's trying to work on that. He always, with Pep, the start of the season, he tries to work out what he's going to do for the season. And it normally takes a while. And that's why we tend to kick on in the second half of the season. And in all our title races, bar the Centaurians, where we were just brilliant most of the season, a lot of our title races, it's been sort of a second wind after sort of Christmas where we've just clicked and it's just gone well from there. So yeah, it's way too early at the moment to rule out City at this point. I don't think title races are rarely one team runs away with it, and if they do, it's not normally in the start. The end of the first year. It's normally further on in the season. So we'll have to see. Ryan must be in pain. You know what it is with Ryan? Ryan was telling me that Liverpool were gonna win everything, quadruple, 4 in a row, all this crap, and then he ended up, they ended up just not clicking. But I mean, it's obvious that when you bring in so many new players, they need time, So I don't know why, just because they were winning games at the start of the season, people were saying, well, because they're winning, when they click, they're going to get better. But that's not necessarily what always happens. Sometimes before you click, you have a dip. I have no doubt that Liverpool will be back to winning ways soon. I mean, I'd love for them not to be in a title race and for it not to be the case. But realistically, the squad that they have is good enough to challenge. So they will challenge. Whether they win it or not, I don't know. But they will challenge for sure. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Neek says, Arsenal remind me of Chelsea of 4 or 5. When they lack creativity, they have set pieces. When their attacking players turn up, they're unstoppable. Similar to Chelsea with and without Robin / Duff. I agree in terms of that. I think their defence is great. I don't think they'll beat that record of Chelsea, that 15 goals, because that is, even though they're doing really well and they're on track, we are only 9 games in. It's not many goals to concede. There's what, 29 games left. That's not many goals to concede. So we'll have to see. If they break that, then fair play to them. They'll definitely win the league if they break that, for sure. But yeah, I think set pieces, obviously it works. It does work. If you put the ball in the back of the net, it doesn't really matter how you do it. People saying, oh, set piece this. Doesn't really matter. If you win the game, you win the game. Obviously, you want to be playing nice football. Everyone wants to watch nice football. It is entertainment at the end of the day. But as long as you're winning, I don't think people really care. I don't think they care. So yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, clean sheets. If they keep it up, then yeah. But you just never know what can happen in football. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. But they are solid. But they have been solid. I think Arsenal's defense has been good for. I mean, Saliba and Gabriel have been good for years. This isn't the first season they've clicked. Timber's been good. I think he's getting better and better. So yeah, they've always had a good defense. But we'll just have to see. Even when they were losing, they weren't shipping loads of goals. Like, that's not really Arsenal style, even when they do lose. Neek says, what's Pep's plan for your midfield? Pep can't seem to settle on it without Rodri. To be honest, I think he has kind of... I mean, Nico was starting, but then he got injured. So I think he kind of did have Nico starting, but then when Nico was out, it's kind of put him in a bit of a predicament. So that obviously he was back, but he's not obviously he's at full fitness, because he's just come back. So it's not great. Villa away is not the game you want without Rodri or Nico. I like Nico Gonzalez. I do think he's good. He's not Rodri. No one's Rodri. There's not a player in the world that we could get who is Rodri. But he is good and he's getting better and better. And every time I watch him, he doesn't do much wrong. I think I was saying on the last stream that penalty he gave away, not great, but he went for the ball. It's high. It was given. Do you know what I mean? Fair play. But yeah, it wasn't like intentional. Like he's been reckless and he's gone out. He just kind of tried to clear the ball and obviously his foot was too high. So I don't think it was like a big issue. It's not like he's taken out the guy, last ditch tackle, just completely lost his head or anything like that. So yeah, I don't really worry about Nico. Rodri is back now today in training. I don't think we'll be seeing him for quite a few games. Pep's not going to risk it. He's just not. If Nico is okay, obviously he got a facial injury in the last game. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. It's only his face. So yeah, he should hopefully be back. I think Nico will start the next game. It's only because he was just coming back that he didn't. And then, yeah, I mean, replacing De Bruyne is not easy. So we just need to find a solution. I think Foden is a great player. He's not De Bruyne. He's never been a De Bruyne. So it's not like a like-for-like swap when he comes in. It's not. So, yeah, I think Cherky obviously is our number 10, but he's not been able to play. Like, he's played 2 games, then he got injured, then he's come back, and he's playing a few minutes here and there to get back into full fitness. I think when he is fully fit, I do think he will start. I think Pep does really like him. People saying oh, he's not playing him. I think that's just out of precautionary, rather than him not playing because he doesn't like him or anything like that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. With Pep, City, the way we play, the most important position is the DM, and it always has been. So I think as long as we have that sort of Nico Rodri situation, I'd love to see them together personally. I'd love to see what happens when they play together. Because Rodri actually statistically helps with our attack. Like if you look at the stats the season before last, before he got injured, a lot of the passes into the box and stuff were from Rodri, or he's getting sort of the pre-assist. So yeah, I think he will actually help us both defensively and in an attacking sense when he's back. But it'd be nice for him not to have to do the free roles that he's currently doing. So if Nico's next to him, it gives him a little bit more freedom, a little bit less responsibility, and I think he's less likely to then get re-injured. So we'll have to see. But yeah, Sammy says, Real Madrid kept saying it would click last season, never fully did. They look even worse than we did. That is true. Liverpool didn't look great in the first couple of games, but they were winning, so no one cared. And then when they started losing, it was like, oh, we've been shit all season. But at the end of the day, I think this part of the season is about stacking as many points as you can get. Trying not to lose too many games. You don't want to lose too many at this stage. And trying to basically bed all the players in that you've brought in. That's what this part of the season is about. I think when it starts getting towards Christmas, then it's more crunch time. That's where you start looking at, who you might need in January. Is it working? Is it not? If it's not working, who's not working? Who can we bring in to replace? Et cetera, et cetera. Like I said earlier, City had some objectives this window. We had a very old team, like overall. The average age of City was like 28 or 29 or something. It was quite high. So we've brought that down drastically by, De Bruyne leaving, Kyle Walker, these players, even like an Edison going for a Donnarumma who's slightly younger, like that all adds to it being brought down. So City's squad is now a lot younger than it was, which obviously is good because we want to get that age down. But at the same time, with age, in a lot of cases, comes experience. So we have lost that. We've lost a lot of our sort of, dare I say it, mentality monsters, as they call Liverpool. But like in terms of the ones who have been there, done that, we know how to win. This is how we win things. We have lost a lot of that. And Rodri did mention that earlier, like in the season. He was kind of like, the mentality isn't where it needs to be. Because they just haven't done it, some of these players. So we need, we definitely need, do you know what? It's not a dig at Liverpool. It's just because that's what they get called. But I was just talking about the mentality of the players. And he mentioned it when it came to Arsenal, and it triggered a lot of Arsenal fans. But what he was saying was not wrong. He was just saying, like, I think with Arsenal, what they have done, and I think they should have learnt their lesson by now. I would say they have. I think they focused too much on what other teams were doing. I think it was too much what a City doing, what a Liverpool doing, what's this team doing. No, you need to focus on yourself, because it doesn't matter what happens in another game if you win your game. It never matters, you just need to keep winning, keep winning, keep winning. It's only when it gets to the end of the season that you need to start looking at other people's results. But the only reason why you need to look at other people's results are when you're behind. When you're in front, you don't need to, because you're leading the pack. And as long as you win, if you lose or you draw, then you look at the other results and hope that the other teams have matched or worsened whatever result you've got. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they were a bit looking behind them too much, and I think that's why they missed out on the title the past 3 years. I think they would have learnt from that. So I do think Arsenal have a genuine chance of winning the league, as much as I like joke, because I don't want it to happen. I do think they have a genuine chance, but I don't think it's done and dusted at this stage. I think City is still in it. Liverpool are still in it, like right now, unless they go on some crazy run. But even if they lost the next 3, like, unlikely to win it from there, but it's not mathematically impossible. So it's unlikely, I would say, but anything can happen in football, so we've seen it before. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, if we didn't have Pep Guardiola, then I feel like I'd be like, yeah, it's probably done. But I just think with Pep, like, we've seen him pull so many tricks out of his hat, and I just think last season we were not at the races at all. We went on the worst run that we've been on in this new generation of Man City. Do you know what I mean? And we were absolutely shocking. Like, we're not good. Could not hold a lead. Could not. We were scoring goals, to be fair. We were scoring 2 and then conceding 2. Or scoring 3 and conceding 3. We just weren't great. Like, we weren't great. Okay, going forward, obviously, because we were scoring. Crap defensively, not great. Obviously we had Akanji playing injured. He wasn't even fit, but there was no one else, so we had to play regardless. So we were injury struck. We were down because we'd lost Rodri, who to me plays like 3 positions. So we were badly in the dumps. And then what happens is, and I've said this about Liverpool, what happens is when you lose a couple of games to teams that people don't expect to beat you, other teams come and think they're your fair game. So a team like, I'm not being disrespectful or anything, but a team that you would expect City to beat, you lose to that team, and then another team will look at that result and go, well, if they can beat City, then we can. And then you end up getting beat by teams like Wolves or this season, trying to think who's like quite low down the table. Can't even think right now, apart from Wolves. But yeah, you'll get a team like maybe like a West Ham, sorry, who will think, oh, well, if they can beat City, we can beat City. And then what ends up happening is one loss turns into three. And then once you've lost three, you start panicking because you don't want to lose more. And then you just get worse and worse and worse. And that's what happened with us. I mean, we beat Nottingham Forest in the middle of that 3-0. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe we're back to winning ways. And then we went back again, which is kind of what's happened to Liverpool with that win in Europe. And it's just one of them things. And I think the more you lose, the more you start panicking because you're like, oh my God, when are we actually going to win again? Whereas when you're on a winning streak, you don't even think about, if you drew in the Champions League, it doesn't even affect you because you're like, oh, well, we drew, but we've just won our last 3 games in the Prem, so it's fine. So I think, yeah, that it has a knock-on effect sometimes. And I think last season, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Every single thing that could have gone wrong went wrong. Pep was having personal issues on top. Like we were just not going to win that league after a certain point. It was obvious that we weren't going to win it. But saying that, after Christmas, second half of the season, we actually got the most points of everyone. And we managed to work our way up to third. And we ended up finishing 3 points behind Arsenal. So as much as, yeah, Arsenal, okay, weren't as great at the end of the season, considering how bad we were that season, you would have thought we would have finished a lot worse off than we did. So this is another reason, like at our worst, we still came within touching distance of the team in second place. Do you know what I mean? Which obviously is not anything that I'm going to sit here and celebrate. But at the same time, you have to use context in these situations. And I think everything that City are doing right now because of last season is kind of amplified. Like, oh, they're finished. They're not going to win this. They're not going to win that. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean that, I don't think the form that we're on now is like, we have no chance. We're not going to win anything. I don't think that's the case. Obviously, we'll have to see how we do in the cups. We have kind of slacked a little bit in cups because City were always, even though we've been into finals, City were always kind of guaranteed something at the end of the season pretty much. And if we didn't win the Prem, it was like, well, we'll just win something else. But like obviously last season, Palace in the cup weren't good, weren't good enough. Didn't deserve anything. Palace obviously won the trophy. It was just like the end of the season, we could have probably done with something, and we just didn't look at it, which is surprising for a Man City team. So yeah, I think we need to kind of step it up a little bit. I'm hoping that we beat Swansea. Swansea away has always been a bit of a it's okay, but it's not the best place to be wanting to go. It's quite far as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we win that. Because I think we do need a couple of cup runs. Champions League, obviously, we just need to finish top 8. I don't think it really matters if we finish 1st or 8th, because it just depends what anyone else finishes. If we do have a playoff, then we'll do the playoff, obviously, as long as we don't go out straight away, I think we'll be fine. Last season, again, we weren't in a great place in the Champions League. Like we started well, actually, and then we just fell off a cliff. And it was just terrible after that. Games like PSG 2-0 up at halftime, 4-2, Feyenoord 3-0, absolutely flying, 3-3. Juventus, that game was awful. That game was terrible. So yeah, we weren't good. I knew we weren't going to win the Champions League from very early on. But yeah, it's ideally, yeah, Sammy, ideally we don't have to play a playoff. I want to finish top 8. But the thing is with the Champions League is it's so tight. Like you draw one game and then you go from like 2nd to like 9th. So it's quite the small margins between the points and even goal difference at the moment. Like you've got Bayern Munich and PSG both on the same points. at the top. So it's going to come down to things like goal difference, who finishes first, and then it's like, what fixture are they going to get? Because Liverpool topped the group last season and then got a harder fixture that you could argue than some of the others. So it's a bit of the luck of the draw and just what other teams are doing, because, you know, Real Madrid weren't great last season, but then ended up getting better and better as it went on. They didn't start well anyway. So yeah, you don't want to be facing like a Real Madrid in a playoff or anything like that. You just don't want to. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, we have Dortmund at home next week. Hopefully we win that. If we win that, then our next game, I'm trying to think what our next game is. It's not Real Madrid. There's another team and then Real Madrid. But yeah, we have to win. I don't want to go into that Real Madrid game needing to win. I don't want to do that. So if we beat Dortmund, then we've got a few games we can win. So yeah, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. But yeah, as long as we're not in a playoff, it's not ideal. Barca draw to the final was Benfica, Dortmund, Inter. They should make the final with that draw. True, they should. I thought they were. I honestly thought it was going to be Barcelona versus Arsenal. That's what I thought the final was going to be. And neither of them actually made it. So yeah, it's a weird one, because Inter Milan are weird in Europe because they're doing well at the moment. And then they're just very like hit and miss. Sometimes they're like brilliant, and then other times they're just terrible. I think there's no in between. You either get the good Inter or the terrible Inter, you know. So it's kind of like Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid are the same. Like sometimes you play them and they're like solid. I don't know what's happened to their defense, because they were always known for being great defensively. And at the moment, every time I watch them, they just look like they could be conceding 6 or 7 goals, which is absolutely insane for, you know, what they used to be like. So yeah, there's some difficult teams in there. I don't think we'll win the Champions League. I think Pep wants to win the Champions League. Definitely, for sure. I think that's what he's after. Not that he wouldn't take a league title, but I feel like he feels like he's proved his point in the league. But I think with the Champions League, he wants to bow out with another Champions League. And I think if he wins that, he will leave. So yeah, I don't want to lose Pep. But at the same time, you can't really turn down a Champions League title. So I hope for his sake he wins it. But yeah, I think that's what Pep's after, for sure. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I don't understand Inter. They don't have one player I'll take yet. They may. Yeah, I don't really get Inter Milan. They're a bit of a strange team, because sometimes I watch them and they're brilliant, and then other times it's like, is this the same team? So they were another one who last season, I don't think they started too well in the group. I might be mistaken on that, but I don't think they played that well in the group, and then they ended up making the final. So it's small margins sometimes in the Champions League. You know, you can play absolutely terrible, get 2 penalties, and end up going through. Like it's one of them things. I think it's obviously there's a few teams. I think Arsenal are favourites right now. It was Liverpool, now it's Arsenal. Real Madrid are always up there. City, they're like 12% or something daft. PSG are up there, obviously, because they're the holders. I don't know if they'll retain it. It's quite hard to retain. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I think with the Champions League, it's harder to call. I think the Premier League's easier to call than the Champions League, just because you just don't know. Because like last season, Barcelona, I actually thought Barcelona would get to the final and win, and they didn't get to the final. So it's, you know, I think I'd expect Barcelona to do better this season, though. I'd expect them to, I don't know, I expect them to step it up a level. And the fact that they missed out on the final last season, I expect them to want to get back there. So it might be Barcelona in that final again. It's just who they face when they get there. It's true, the draws do play a big part You know, if you've got like Barcelona against Real Madrid, changes things because, you know, even if Barcelona are great, it's a rival, so they're going to put more into winning that, if that makes sense. Same with us. If we end up facing like a Liverpool, you know, on paper, Man City might be better than Liverpool right now, but in a Champions League game, it might not necessarily go that way, regardless of how the Premier League table is looking. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I do expect all the English clubs to go through to the next round. Maybe not all in the top 8. But yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe some in the playoffs, but I don't expect anyone to go out. Sammy says 2022 we played PSG, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, played Benfica, Villarreal, Inter. That's true. That's true. I remember that run. I mean, I always said when we won the Champions League, I wanted to win it against the best teams because I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, City only won it because they avoided all the big teams. Do you know what I mean? So in ours, obviously, obviously group stage and stuff like that doesn't really count. But when we got to like the final stages, it wasn't easy. We had Bayern Munich, we had Real Madrid, and it wasn't a case of like playing these teams and like it was close and we got like a last minute penalty or a call our way or something like that. We were very dominant in them games. And it's nice, you know, because then when we got to the final, it was like, okay, now, you know, this, we deserve to be here sort of thing. So yeah, it was good. Obviously, Inter Milan, there was a lot of like, you know, Inter are going to win it. They've been here before. They've been there, done that. I always felt that City would lose their first Champions League final and win the second one. Just because a lot of clubs have that trajectory, like they lose their first. That's why I didn't want Arsenal to get to the final because I feel like they've already lost their Champions League final. If they get there, they'd probably win it. So I feel like that's how teams tend to go. So I did feel like if we ever got to another one, we would win it. And yeah, we did. But it wasn't pretty. They never are. You know, it's a final. Obviously, PSG had a great final last season. It was pretty, but a lot of the time it is like a 1-0. It is quite scrappy. There's a lot going on, you know. No one wants to do anything too risky because they don't want to risk being the reason why their team don't win it. They don't take as many risks as they would in a normal game or even a two-headed, you know, two-legged head-to-head, you know, where you can think, well, if we lose the game, we can make it back at home or whatever. Whereas the final, it's all about like, we need to make sure we make no mistakes because you can't afford a mistake in a final. You just can't. So, yeah. And I mean, I think partly the goal that we scored, the Rodri goal that we scored, because there was almost like a penalty shout at the same time, I think it kind of like caused almost like a few players to switch off a little bit, which obviously worked in our favour. But maybe if he doesn't score, maybe the VAR call it back. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't want to have a penalty in a final, in a Champions League final. Absolutely not. And I'm so glad that it was Rodri because I think he really deserved the recognition that he's got past that goal because before then it was kind of like, oh, De Bruyne, De Bruyne, De Bruyne. And don't get me wrong, De Bruyne is brilliant, but De Bruyne has been missing for quite large parts of City's success because he gets injured, you know, so he'll be out for like 5, 6, 7 games. He'll come back, he'll do a madness. Like this guy is unbelievable. One of my favourite ever players. But the times where he's not there, Rodri was literally running the shop. And I think anyone that was saying like he didn't deserve the Ballon d'Or, I think if you watch last season and then watch the season before, for example, that it's night and day. You know, our team without Rodri is night and day. And that shows how big a player he is in our squad, you know. So yeah, I think if anyone thought he didn't deserve it, they definitely should be thinking he did now. But yeah, Yeah, but Sammy, I think it's a little bit different having easy draws once you've won it. Like if City this season, we can play anyone. I don't care. Like I'm happy to play Bodo Glint and all them. That is one of our fixtures, by the way. And teams. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes them teams are the teams that beat you, though. Sometimes the teams that you go into thinking the pressure's on you to win. Sometimes they're the ones that trip you up. Whereas the games where it's a difficult game, sometimes they're a lot easier than you first thought. So yeah, I don't want to play like really easy on paper competition because I think sometimes that doesn't really work in your favor. But I would like to avoid the best teams for as long as we can, if possible, for sure. Sammy says, I'm tired of PSG and English teams. Give me Italian teams or Portuguese teams. I think us getting, I mean, we used to get Shakhtar Donetsk every single year. It was Shakhtar Donetsk in the group stage, or if we didn't get them in the group, we'd play them in the playoffs. Like we always would have them in the knockout stage. Sorry, we'd always play Shakhtar Donetsk, and then it stopped, and now it's Real Madrid. So it's like there was a time where we played Barcelona quite a bit, Bayern Munich quite a bit, and it's just, I mean, obviously you play the best teams, but we were playing these like in the group and in the early stages. It wasn't like we were getting to semi-finals and finals and then facing them. So yeah, I mean, it's inevitable that we're going to get Real Madrid. Hopefully, it's just now and we don't face them again unless we get to a final and they're in it. But yeah. We'll have to see what happens with City. I don't really Champions League, the way this format is, it's again about getting points on the table, but it's also a long way from being done. I think because we were winning our second game till quite late on and we were like a certain position and then we drew and we dropped right down because that 2 points, that 2 extra points takes you quite a way up the table or way down the table. So yeah, until sort of the last 2 games, I'd say that's where you start looking at where are we realistically going to finish. Because until then, it's just every you can go from not winning the first 2 games and then win the next 4 or whatever, and then you find yourself in a really good position, or vice versa. So yeah, I have to see how it goes. But for now, yeah, it's definitely better next year. It's way too early at the moment for you just obviously if you win every game, great. But I mean, we won our first 3 last year. I think I'm sure we won our first 3, and then we didn't win any more, and then we ended up being in a playoff. So yeah, and I think PSG were the opposite. I think PSG lost a few of their games in the early stages, and then that win against City was kind of like the turning point. I think if they don't win that game, maybe they don't even, qualify. But yeah, that game really was a turning point for them, I felt. Sammy says, I called Villa dressing room to end Haaland streak. To be fair, like I feel so bad for him because he actually scored. Like I think it would be like better for him if he hadn't actually scored, but it's like he's made the whole movement, he's done the whole thing, and it's just like Marmoush, just your body, it's not even your feet. Like if it's your feet, you can say, oh, he had like a crazy advantage, but it's like it's your body, it's literally his chest. So it's like you're not even getting okay, you're getting the advantage of you can rush up, but your feet are still in a position where you would have been on side. So he just went too early. But again, this is like players coming back from injury, players that haven't played for a while. Like it's going to take them a while to kind of get back to their best or be as on it as they were before. So yeah, I'm expecting a few more games where it's not quite right. Even if we win, I mean, the game against Villarreal, City didn't get out of second game. We didn't need to. It was literally like, okay, we scored a couple of goals, done, game's done, and we just kind of sat on it. We didn't really need to do anything else. And I think a lot of the games kind of have been like that. I don't think people talking about the quality of the league. I mean, there's different ways of winning. And I think when you're a team who isn't sort of the big six, you have to find ways to win. And whether that's pretty or ugly, it doesn't really matter. You need to find ways to win. Stoke, are famous for kind of hoofball and, long throw-ins and stuff like that, and just being an absolute nuisance and set pieces and just big and strong and, traditional like English kind of footballers, you know what I mean? And that's what they were known for. And it worked. It worked for them, you know? So whatever works, everyone wants to play out from the back now. They want to do all this fancy stuff, but if just do what works, I think Arsenal were trying to like play good football, and I think they've just decided now, well, actually, this is what actually works, and it is working, and they're doing well. So yeah, I think with Arsenal getting hate for the set pieces, I think it's just with Arsenal, it's their fans. I think if Arsenal were just like a team, like Aston Villa. Like, I don't know any Aston Villa fans because I'm not from Birmingham. Well, I think my uncle's actually a Villa fan, because he's from Birmingham. But like, we don't talk about football like that. But it's one of them situations where I'm not really dealing with their fans day to day. Maybe if I tweet about Villa negatively, their fans will come in my mentions chatting, but in general, I don't deal with them day to day. So if they were playing a certain type of football and winning and they were top of the league, I don't think they'd have the backlash. Whereas with Arsenal, I think it's like, even today I posted the Premier League table from after 9 games last season, and Arsenal fans were in my mentions going, and I'm thinking, but I didn't even mention Arsenal. I've just said, this is what it looked like last year, so don't get too carried away and don't be too reactionary. And they were like in the comments, like I'd attacked Arsenal and said Arsenal are shit. I didn't say that. All I said was, because we were, first last season, it just shows that we weren't in the title race anywhere near the end. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that will be the case for Arsenal. I think Arsenal will definitely be in the title race. I think City will be in the title race. I think Liverpool will be in the title race. I don't think anyone else will be in a long battle for the title. Like, everyone's in the title race at this time of the year. It's, mathematically Bournemouth and Sunderland are in there, but I don't think they'll end up there at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? So I just think, I do think with Arsenal, it's their fans, because their fans give it out so much. I think people just back with whatever they can get at them for. So it's always going to be something. If it's not set pieces, it'll be something else. Oh, Xhaka is not good. Or, oh, Saka shit. Like, it's always going to happen. People do it with City. Like, it's always, oh, City aren't good. City aren't good. At this time of the year, City are never rated. No one ever rates City at the start of the season. They never do. It's always, we start okay and they go, oh, maybe City will win it again. And then we go through this patch that we always go through every single season. And then everyone starts saying, oh, City have got no chance, we're going to win it. Start tweeting loads of crazy stuff. And then it gets like after Christmas and we go on a winning run, and then it's, oh, we can't compete, or this, that, and the other. So I think people are just reactionary. Like, the end of the day, the start Arsenal have had is exceptional. Do you know what I mean? And I think, it's all about getting the points. It doesn't really matter how you play. Whatever works to get the points, play that way, But yeah, I do think for me, it's reactionary to be ruling your team out. And I've seen Arsenal fans do it the other way. I've seen like where they'll lose a couple of games, title race is done. And it's like, when they lost to Liverpool, it was, oh, title race done, Liverpool are going to win it. And then, Liverpool were 8 points clear of Man City. And then within sort of 3 weeks, it's completely turned. And now they're behind us. But then if we lose our next 2 games and Liverpool win their next 3, then it swings back round the other way. So it's just, yeah, it's way too early. I think when you start getting sort of 10 points clear, late on, I wouldn't even say early on, because we've seen teams with 10 points clear at stages in the season not maintain that. But yeah, way too reactionary. Big up Nathan every time. Yeah, smash the likes, guys. 12 games in a row. Yeah, he's matched with Ronaldo now. They both got 12 games. A lot of people were like kind of trying to like cancel it out, saying, well, no, Lewandowski has 19, but Lewandowski has 19 for his club. So it's not all games, it's for 19 for his club. So he would have been playing internationally and in other, well, yeah, just internationally and probably not scoring within that 18 game run. Messi is even longer. There's quite a few for their club that it's quite long, but not all games. So Ronaldo and Haaland now hold that title 12 games in a row, all camps, all teams. But yeah, Nathan says, nah, teams low block us, so I feel that's why we use set pieces as another go-to. Yeah, well, that's how, I mean, City used to be really good at getting through a low block, but now it just seems like we have no answers. So I think we need to work on our set pieces. And I'm not saying we should go out to win set pieces because no. But we do need to get better at them. City don't score many from set pieces, really, at all. The amount of corners we get in a game, we rarely look like scoring from it. We get at least 7 corners in a lot of games and we just don't do anything with them. It's pointless. And sometimes we even look like we're playing for the corner, when the ball's like running out and you can get it, you can keep it in, but they let it go out for a corner. It's like, why are you letting it go out for a corner? It just makes no sense to me because I don't think we're that effective when it comes to set pieces. We're just not, Free kicks, obviously, we used to have free kick specialists like Yaya Toure. He was that season where he scored like 13 goals or whatever it was. That was brilliant. Obviously De Bruyne. But yeah, we've not even got like too many free kick specialists now. So yeah, set pieces for us. We need to work on that. That is one thing that we need to work on. So I'll never really criticize Arsenal. Again, you won't hear me say, oh, they play shit football. Doesn't really matter. I'd rather win in style personally because it is entertainment and I enjoy when my team are playing good football. But if you're winning, no one cares. If you lift that trophy at the end of the season, I'm telling you now, not a single person is going to care that you won it from set pieces. And what they will say is it was a bad league, no one was good this season, which might be true, it might be true. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Because I think with City, we're going to have to step it up. I was saying earlier, because an Arsenal fan was saying that they're not at their final form yet, like Arsenal aren't. And I agree. But I think also City aren't, and I think Liverpool obviously aren't. Liverpool have not clicked. So yeah, I think all three are going to get better, and that's why I think there'll be a title race, because I think all three of us will get better. It's just whether Arsenal are so far clear at that time that it doesn't matter, or whether it's close. Because I think if it's sort of 6 to 10 points, it's fine. It's if Arsenal go sort of 20 points clear, then it's gone. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, the points in the league, you draw 1, lose 2, you've dropped 7 points already. So that's the 7 points that, or even drawing is actually worse, because you draw 3 games and you think, oh, we're doing all right, but you've dropped 6 points. So it's the same as losing 2 to draw 3. Do you know what I mean? Which is crazy. So yeah. That's where you lose league titles and stuff. It's draws, really. Twitter's a wild place. It most definitely is. Prime, big up Prime. Arsenal fans are an emotional fan base. That is true. I think all fan bases though at the moment are bad. City Twitter is not a good place to be on right now. They're so because I remember at the start of the season I was kind of saying that I think City will start slow. And then when we kind of started how we did, and then we started winning again, I said that I thought we would win the league because I wouldn't rule us out anyway. And then everyone was like saying, we're not going to win the league. There's no chance. We're nowhere near good enough. We've not got the right players, blah, 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 blah. We've not replaced this player. We're not as good as we were last season, etc., 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 in terms of like personnel and stuff like that. And everyone was kind of like saying, we've got no chance. Then we won a few more games, and then everyone was like, oh, we're going to win the league. And then we lost one game, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're not going to win anything. And it's like, one game against Villa shouldn't determine your season. If that in October determines your season, you are not a good football team. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, in hindsight, you can look back at the end of the season, and if we lose the league by 1 point, maybe look at this game. But if we lose the league by 1 point, I'm going to be looking at the head-to-head with whoever wins the league. So if it's Arsenal, I'm going to be looking at that game that we played at the Emirates that we were winning until late on and say, why didn't you hold on? I'm not going to be looking at Villa, like a game where we didn't play that well. I'm going to be looking at the games that, head-to-head that could have stopped that team from going and winning it, So yeah, it's more that. Then it's not just this, it's Spurs. We lost to Spurs. We lost to Brighton. So it's not just one game that determines your season. And that's why it used to make me laugh when rival fans used to post pictures of like a decision that went in City's favour. And it's like in every season there's decisions both ways. And yeah, some teams, they tend to get more going for them than against. And I don't think it really evens itself out, as people say, because if you don't get a decision against Arsenal, but then you get a decision against Wolves, you probably would beat Wolves with or without that decision. Whereas Arsenal, that could stop you from getting 3 points, which then could lead to you finishing the league 3 points behind. So I don't think it, how they say it works itself out. Not always. We've had quite a few decisions go against us in games like away at Anfield. That we need the points there. We need to win that game. So that's worse than a decision going for us at home against a team that we always beat at home. Like, it's just, I don't think City tend to get them decisions when we're desperate for them. It tends to be a game that we're already winning, and I think we would win regardless. Obviously, I'm not saying it's never happened, because it will have happened, but I think when you look at individual games to why you didn't win the season, it's bigger than that. It's the whole season combined and how you bounce back from losses and stuff like that. If you've lost the game and then you go and lose your next 3, then you've not learned anything from that loss. So it's the collective of the games, not just, oh, well, that game we didn't turn up. Like, to win every single game is impossible. I mean, it's never been done before. I don't think it ever will be done. It's hard enough to go invincible, never mind, to like win every single game. So you are going to have off days. You're going to have days where it's not working, where nothing is going in the back of the net. You're going to have days where just everyone's fatigued, like no one is at it, no one's on it that day. You don't get decisions. The refs just crap that day. He's making mistakes here, there, and everywhere. VAR are not interested, and it's just not your day. So you just have to, the games that you lose, you have to learn from them and move on and hope that you win the next game and then see how it goes. Nathan said, and we are 5th in the table for open play stuff as well, but like the agenda's agenda. Yeah, I don't think it's that deep for Arsenal right now. I don't think it is, honestly. Sammy says, April, it's unfair. Yeah. I mean, April's a long way away. So we'll have to see what happens. We might be in 5th in April. Do you know what I mean? Or we might be top of the table. Who knows? Like, it's a long, long way away. So much stuff can happen. And also there's the January transfer window. So who knows who you're going to even bring in? And I say that for Arsenal as well. For Liverpool, you just don't know who's going to come in. There's an opportunity there. City are in a rebuild, so I would be very surprised if we brought no one in January. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. Nathan says, I think the only people sleeping on City are pundits. I could never sleep on a team that won 4 in a row and have know-how in winning. I'd be a madman. Yeah, I agree with you, Nathan. I think that's why I don't rule this out because of Pep. It's mainly Pep. You know, this man is a genius. You know what I mean? And I think like it's fine, like if you want to rule out City, but I just think it's way too early. And I think if we do manage to win it, that's a big if. But if we do manage to win it, then everyone's just going to look stupid again. So I just think, you know, it's way too early to be like reactionary. I remember like the start of the season, the way Liverpool fans were going on, you know, like they've won everything. Who's going to beat us? That's what they were saying. Who's going to beat us? And then when they beat Arsenal, it got even worse because it was like, right, who's going to, you know, and then now look how many teams have beat them. So it just, yeah. Aston Villa started shit and then went on this winning run. So I just, yeah, too early. And if you look at the table as well, not even the top of the table, people focus on the top of the table and who was the top three. Spurs were 8th, I think, 6th or 8th, and doing quite well. And then they ended up finishing just above the relegation zone. So it's not just like the top teams that weren't in the positions they finished in. It can be anyone. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Big up Tariq. He says, how much rotation do you want to see for the Swansea match? To be fair, I think we need to win it. So whoever plays, it needs to be good enough to get us over the line. I think Pep would love to rest Haaland, but I don't know if he... Maybe he does, because he did in the Cup last time, but it was Huddersfield. It's a little bit harder, I think, playing Swansea, so I don't know. I think he might start like Marmoush, maybe, because Marmoush is back now. But yeah, I'd be interested to see. With Pep, we can't do Pep roulette. Like he just will play the complete opposite team of what you're expecting. He'll probably start our strongest team. So yeah, I can't really predict it. I'd like to see a little bit of rotation because we need to win every game at the moment. We do in all competitions. We need to make sure that we're, you know, we've got 2 games, quick fire at home coming up. Bournemouth on Sunday and then Dortmund midweek the following week. I'll be at both of them games because I'm actually off. And then we've got Liverpool the following weekend, and Liverpool's never easy, regardless of the form that they're in or the form that they're not. Doesn't really matter. It's a big game, and players tend to step up for big games. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but it's not going to be easy. Ryan says, until Slot realises Kirkes and Bradley are shit, we're going to continue being completely shit. The thing is, because he's brought Kirkes in, he has to play him. So he's going to have to play him through his rough patch. He's just going to have to keep playing him and hope that he comes out the other side and is a better player, which some players take time to bed in. Some players hit the ground running. Ekatike, as I've said, I do rate Ekatike. I like him. He has hit the ground running, but other players take a bit longer. So Arsenal are the best team in Europe right now. Don't know if you can really be the best team in Europe without backing it up. You'd probably say it's PSG right now. But yeah, I get what you're saying though. Sammy says, when you might next go to a game? Yes, I'll be at Bournemouth. I get back on Sunday morning, so I'll go there. It's 22 years. They won't care. That's true. They won't care. Nathan says, I'd rather win in style, but we did that in 22-23 and lost the league. So I feel that made Arteta alter the way we play. Just my theory. Yeah, it's true. Like, you have to do what works for you. I think a lot of teams were trying to play like that Pep, tiki-taka, like really entertaining football. Or like Klopp's, you know, metal ball where it's like all so much is going on. Like them games, Liverpool versus City, were very, very entertaining. For like in neutral, they were like even at the 2-2 with Sane, and just some of them games were absolutely brilliant to watch. But it's like if it's not going to work for you or it's going to cost you the league, Don't do it. It's not worth it. Even City, we don't play the same way all the time. Like, you have to adapt. Nathan says 22-23 was the best football we played post Wenger. I agree. Arsenal were playing good football at that time, but does it really matter if you win? Doesn't matter how you play. And I say this as someone that likes the way we play, or we usually play. Do you know what I mean? But if you're winning, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to care when you're in a parade. Lord Wakanda says, and we really need to be patient with this team. Pep has too much credit in the bank for people to want his head in in this rebuild environment. This fan base needs to chill. Yeah, our fan base are very, very reactionary. Like I say, we're in a rebuild. The only thing with City is we don't have the luxury of not being in the title race, or not, we don't have the luxury of saying, oh, we'll have 3 years off while we rebuild our team. We're expected to challenge, you know what I mean? We're expected to be up there, and if we're not, people start saying stuff like Pep's finished, City are finished. You hear that every time we lose a game, so we don't have that luxury that other teams have where they can rebuild and then, wait for it to work. We just don't have that time. So I think last season being how it went and how bad we were and how everything that went wrong could have gone wrong, and the fact that we still ended up in a final at the end of the season, I think that's a bit of a good sign. I know we didn't win the final, but it's like, it's still showing consistency, that you're going into the end of the season with a trophy on the line. And it's not ideal. Like last season, I don't think any City fan will sit here and say, oh, I enjoyed last season. I did not enjoy last season. No one enjoyed last season. But I think you have to keep that consistency in terms of, we're going to be in for a trophy come the end of the season, every season, and you will win one of them. Like Arsenal at some point will win the league. They will. It's just whether they can do it now. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season. I don't know how close we're going to be or Liverpool are going to be. And then it's just whether Arteta can get over the line ahead of a Pep. I don't know. I think if it's close, my money would be on Pep in that situation. But then squad-wise, our squad are not the winners that they were before. If we had like Aguero and company and De Bruyne and Fernandinho and all of these sort of players who have been there, done that multiple times, then it obviously makes it a bit easier. But then Arsenal don't have that either. So yeah, it'd be one of them things. It'd be interesting to see if it is close. I do think Arsenal would have to be clear to win it. Like I think they'd have to go into the sort of the last 5 games 10 points clear or something like that. Because the pressure then is not. I think if you put real pressure on them, like there's 2 points, it'd be interesting to see how they fare in that. Because we've seen Liverpool. Liverpool had great teams, and even they struggled sometimes in that run-in. So, they draw 1 game and that was it. It was game over. So, yeah, I don't think City are that consistent anymore. So I don't think they have to be that good. But yeah, we'll just have to see. It's early days. But yeah, we'll do our rebuild. I think we'll finish it probably in the next year or 2. Get everyone in that we need to get in, and kind of settle. Donnarumma come in. He's 26. He's still young. Haaland's a baby in football. Do you know what I mean? He's still young. Strikers are playing until they're 40. So he's got a long time left. You've got like Savinho's young, Doku's quite young. Whether they get replaced, I don't know. But for now, they're young players. Nico Gonzalez is young, obviously Rodri being old is a problem, but Nico Gonzalez is young. So we're doing what we need to do. It's not as fast as City fans want it to happen. City fans want it now, yesterday. That's what they want. And it's like, it's not going to happen. You don't replace the players that we had very easily. De Bruyne, who's the next De Bruyne? Where is he? Because I don't see him, so we just have to get someone who's good enough to kind of replicate a little bit of what De Bruyne could do and hope that it's good enough, But City have changed their style a few times. We didn't have another Yaya Toure because Yaya Toure was one of a kind. We didn't have another David Silva as such because he was one of a kind. So De Bruyne was one of a kind. We have to get our next guy. Who's going to be the next one that's going to come in and lead this team to glory? If that happens, that there's no guarantee of a trophy ever in football. Like, you can be at the top of your game and then fall off a cliff and end up down the leagues. You just don't know. Like, no trophy is ever guaranteed. As much as you might think, yeah, we can win that, we can, but it's not guaranteed. And I don't take trophies for granted when we win them. It's like, sometimes it is a bit like, God, we're winning everything, when we were going through our seasons of 4 in a row and trebles and stuff like that. But you just never know when you're going to see it again. That might be the only Champions League I ever see us lift in my lifetime. It could be. There's teams out there with only won Champions League. So, yeah, it's never guaranteed, and you just have to kind of hope that you get there again and you stay there. And I think under Pep, I think we'll always be in for a trophy. Even when times are bad like they were last season. So yeah, there's that. Sammy says, hand of Rod, as Big Steve will say. You know what, like, that's an interesting one because that wasn't like Everton were through on goal and they were going to score and it wasn't really that. I don't know what Roger was even doing. He didn't really need to go for that, but it is what it is. Nathan, it's only 9 games in, though still plenty of twists and turns to come, for sure. Like I say, it's already swung heavily in Liverpool's favour to being the other way, heavily out of their favour in that short amount of time already, in 9 games. So, Liverpool were 8 points clear of us, and it was 9, and now they're behind us in 9 games. So if people think there's not going to be any more turns in another 29, that's crazy to me. But yeah, we'll have to it's 30 games because, well, no, 29. I was thinking it's 8 games. It's 9 games in. So yeah, 29 games. There's going to be a lot more twists and turns. Even in the last 9, we might see, teams. We just don't know. Sammy says that's what football fans say about City in April. Yeah, it's true. Normally, like, people flip it, 1 minute it's we're not good enough, next minute it's, well, we can't compete and all this crap. Like, I do think it's changed a little bit where we aren't as dominant as we were, which is bound to happen. We dominated for a long time under Pep. Pep's been here almost a decade, and when has he not been in a title race? Twice. The season he came and last season. Every other season he's been in a title race and pretty much winning it. Apart from 2020, not so much in a title race. We were for a bit, but towards the end, Liverpool kind of ran away with that one. We weren't gonna catch them in any capacity. So it was like, we weren't really in one. But yeah, the rest of the time it's been 2-horse races to the death, where it's been like, so much. It takes so much to get over the line in them situations. Like, it's difficult. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot easier when you've got a 4-point gap and you can say, well, if we lose today, we're still top. Like, we didn't really have that luxury a lot of the time. And a lot of the time we were actually chasing, like, we weren't even top of the league. So we had to, like, get to the top and then stay top when we got there. So yeah, there's been a lot of twists and turns, in our dominance, so we'll have to see. Sometimes it looks like a team's running away with it and they're not, and then other times it looks like they are and they are. So we'll have to see. Nathan says, Jan, what do you rate Foden's season so far from 1 to 10? I don't know number-wise what to say. I think he definitely looks like he's getting back to the old Foden, for sure. Like, he like I say, he was going through some stuff last season. I don't know what that was, but it was very obvious. Pep was basically alluded to it as well. There was a lot going on. He just didn't look the same. He had no confidence. He just didn't nowhere near like the player that he is. He definitely looked better this season. I think he needs to score more. I think he's kind of taken on that sort of creative role at the moment. But I actually think he's just better at getting the ball, running through people and putting it in the back of the net. And I think that's what he should focus on. I'm hoping when Cherky gets back, he's able to do that because he's not relied on to be finding Haaland. He can kind of just do his own thing. So yeah, I'd say so far I'm not so sure what to rate him, but I do think he's been all right. He has been creating chances. It's just mainly from like set pieces and stuff that we're just not good at anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's back to his best yet, but he's getting there. So I think for now maybe like a 6. But I'm hoping that that's a 10 by the end of the season because I think he does look like he's back to the old Foden, and that's what I've been waiting for. I mean, he was getting kicked up against Villa. Every time I saw him, he was getting kicked up. So I don't think he could really do what he wanted to do in that game. But yeah, he has been good. Hopefully he gets better and better because he does need to get back to the old Foden. He's one of our best players when he's flying. So yeah, Sammy says both Liverpool titles they ran away with. Yeah, we weren't in it after sort of, I don't know how many months in, but we weren't really in it. Like, I don't know. It's weird with City because we're either like in the title race till the death and we come out on top, or we're just like not anywhere near. Like we never like finish like 5 points behind the winner, and it was to the death, and we lost our last 2 games, and that's why it's never really been like that. It's been like we've kind of known we're not winning the league for quite a while before the season ends. And then when we win it, it's like it's more like a close clash, at the end. Which is kind of what Rodri was saying about mentality, because the players had the right mentality, like just go into games to win. You don't always win. City went to Villa to win. We didn't win, but we went to win that game. No one can say, oh, City didn't try and win it. We tried to win it. We just weren't good enough. And you get days like that. You will always have days like that. I don't agree with the like setting up for a draw. I know sometimes like with Pep when we played Arsenal, like he knew he couldn't go gung ho because the way we were playing at the moment, defensively, how we are, how Arsenal are, how they are defensively, you'd be stupid to go into that game and be like, yeah, let's take it to them because it's going to be difficult. But at the same time, he still wanted to win. He still tried to win the game. It's just that he had to be more defensive because of what he was coming up against. Because their defense is almost perfect. Like, I think the only open play goal they conceded was that Haaland one. So it is rare that you get into them situations. It was a good ball from Reinders, and obviously Haaland did what Haaland does. But yeah, that's not going to come along too often. So you have to be clever. You have to think about certain games. There's games that we go into sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't the team to kind of just do what Man City do against. Like, if they're playing a low block, it just try and score a different way. Like, if, for example, it's not working on the left, don't go down the left-hand side. If it's not, if every time you go, to cross the ball and they're blocking it, then try something else. If it's not working to cross it, maybe, or if we're trying to pass, it's not working, maybe go long. Maybe ask Donnarumma, just kick it up the pitch. Like, why are you passing it out from the back? It's not working. Or if you're under pressure, take the pressure off yourself, boot it up to Haaland. There's sometimes I think you could change your tactics slightly to deal with the situation that you're in. And I know Pep doesn't really like to do that unless he has to. He will sometimes, but he's not one to be like, oh, let's just do this, completely change my plan. He will kind of stick to it, but at the same time, it's like sometimes it is needed. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say, but hopefully we win our next game, because I think when you lose a game, you need to turn it around as quick as possible afterwards. Bournemouth at home. If it was Bournemouth away, I'd be a lot more worried, just because it's not a nice place to go. Bournemouth is another away ground that it's not ideal to go to. But at home, I feel like we should be winning. We should be winning at home. Like, we need to get our home form back. We need to get into that, because we were unbeaten at the Etihad for a long time. Like, it used to be really difficult to come and get anything from City, and now it's kind of like, yeah, come and get 3 points if you want. And yeah, I don't like that. Spurs have kind of been coming and getting 3 points like it's fun. So yeah, I think we definitely need to change that. 2 wins would be nice before, the Liverpool game. That'd be nice. Go in with a bit of momentum and just see where we go from there. But it's Bournemouth are in great form. They're doing really well. They're going to want to be battling it out with Arsenal at this stage. So it's yeah, we're gonna obviously have to see what happens, but I'm hoping, because we're at home, we have some players back now that we needed back. And yeah, hopefully we can push on. We can't lose too many games at this point in the season. That's all I know. Nathan says, big up Donnarumma, but he doesn't have the Edison stuff in the locker, does he? He doesn't. He's not the same. I don't think he's as bad a passer as people make out. But sometimes some of the passes I'm a bit like, what are you doing? But yeah, overall he's not as bad as people make out, but then he also isn't an Edison. He isn't, it is what it is. But we know we're not going to get another Edison. Not There's no one quite like him anyway. There's people who are a little bit better at passing than Donnarumma for sure. But overall, probably not as good as Donnarumma. So yeah, you kind of have to take it as it is. But I think with him, he can pass it out, surely. Like, if he needs to go long or something, he's not going to be like an assist like Edison, but kick it up the pitch. Someone in the midfield gets it past it to Haaland. Like, it's sometimes it's just one sort of standard ball through the midfield. You don't even have to go up. You can kind of just kick it to someone that's, not in the back four, and then split the lines. Do you know what I mean? But it is risky. It's risky to pass, if you're not completing the pass, because it's an easy counter attack. So sometimes I think when you're under pressure, just kick it up the pitch. Even if it goes out at the other end, it goes out at the other end. The threat's gone, the immediate threat's gone, and you can deal with them having a throw in, and then you can reset, get back into position, etc., etc. I don't like when we used to be under pressure and we'd panic and then start doing stupid things, and then next minute it's in the back of the net, and you're thinking, but just chill. We've not even got over the last mistake we made, and that's how you get games that are 2-0 up and next minute it's 2-2, because you start panicking and doing stupidness. The game against Real Madrid rings a bell, where we just didn't get rid of the ball. We ended up conceding a goal, and then 2 minutes later it was back in, well, not even 2 minutes. It was within 2 minutes, it was in the back of the net twice. It's like you could have taken your time to, collect the ball and stuff like that, to just waste a bit of time to kind of settle the mood and then move on. And we ended up conceding 2. We quit. Obviously we wanted to score, but we didn't need to score in that situation because we were winning at that stage. So they should have just chilled, relaxed, and tried to take it to the corner or something like that, but they just didn't do that. So yeah, I think when you're under pressure, just boo it. Even if it's not the best pass, you just deal with that a bit later. Sammy says that's a far drive, right? Yeah, I'm Bournemouth. Bournemouth is down south, so I live down south. So Bournemouth from here, let me check how long it takes. I want to say it's closer than Manchester. to me. It is 81 miles away, 1 hour and 35 minutes from me. And Man City is 156 miles, which is 3 hours and a half. So yeah, Bournemouth is closer to me, but it's a long drive for City. Because from City to Bournemouth is even longer. Bournemouth. But I mean, the players don't drive there anyway, they fly. So it's 4 hours and 20 minutes. Bear in mind, this is now, so in traffic, it would be a lot longer. But yeah, it's a long drive. Swansea's a long drive as well. I think it's 5 hours for anyone that's driving to Swansea midweek. It's not close. I would have gone myself, to be fair, but it's 3 hours from me as well. It's just like one of them really weird places, and I don't want to be driving all that way, to be fair. I mean, I don't think I'm here. I think I'm away anyway. Yeah, I'm away. But yeah, if I was here. Nathan says, Jan, where do you rank Fernandinho in terms of players to play for City? I love Fernandinho. He's one of my favourite ever players. So it's hard for me to rank him. But I think he just, you've got like your Man City legends, your sort of players that have got statues, them sort of players. I think he's just outside of that, I do think he's a little bit underrated nowadays. Like, he was key, like a captain, key in a lot of our success. More so than like a Walker that captained us to trophy. Do you know what I mean? I think with him, he was, even though we might have won the treble under a different captain, obviously that was under Gundogan. But yeah, I think he's a little bit underrated now, because Gundogan gets that rating, like treble winner, captain, brilliant captain, by the way. But yeah, I think we got very lucky with captains. We had Company was unreal. And then obviously we had Gundogan for years, unreal. And then, sorry, Fernandinho for years, unreal. And then Gundogan for years, unreal. Kyle Walker, I don't think he was a good captain. Obviously it's the players' decision, so Pep, so they obviously saw something that I don't see, but I don't think he was the best captain. And then now we've got like a team of captains, but technically it's like Bernardo Silva who's number one. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Bernardo Silva's a bit quieter than the others. He says a lot of things that the fans are thinking. Like, he's not scared to kind of come out and say what he thinks, which I do like about him, to be fair. Like, no one likes Bernardo Silva outside of City. Like, he's one of them. People just don't like him, whereas I think that was a little bit different for the others. Like, I feel like rival fans liked Fernandinho, apart from the fact his his tactical fouls. But I think as a person, they kind of liked him, maybe. And then even more so than that, like Company, like people really liked Company, and they liked Gundogan. Gundogan's just kind of down to earth. He's very just chilled. So I think with yeah, I think we've had some good captains. So now it's stepping into them massive shoes. I actually think Haaland will end up being captain one day, because he's so passionate, and he like loves the club, and he just gets it. And I don't think Foden will, because I think Foden's more a quiet kind of guy. Like, he's a leader of the young kids. So like, the all of the youth players, the academy graduates, they all look up to Foden, and he's very supportive of them. And he, when he's on the pitch with them, he'll like help them out and stuff like that. And he is a leader on the pitch in terms of that. But I don't know if he would want to be like captain as such. I don't know. Like, maybe he does. I don't know him personally, but I don't really get that vibe from him. Ruben Diaz would love to be a leader. Obviously, he's not ranked as high as I would have thought. Like, obviously still part of the team of leaders at City. I think Rodri for me would be the obvious captain, but maybe because his injuries inconsistent, then that must be why he isn't our main captain. But I don't know, we've got a bit of a captain thing at the moment where they when they become captain they leave that season. After Fernandinho, it's kind of been like that. Like Gundogan was captain for a season, then he left, then he came back. So it's like, but he did leave. Walker's left. Bernardo Silva, I'd be surprised if he doesn't leave in the summer. So yeah, based on that, I think they need to get a captain who they can guarantee is going to be here for a while. And I think the only one that you can really hold your hands up and say they're probably going to stay for a long time right now is Haaland or Foden, them two. But I don't think Foden would want the captaincy. So yeah, I think that's why Haaland could end up with it personally. I'd love to say that a lot of the players are going to stay as well, but for now we don't really know. So yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously, we don't know what it's like in the changing room, what they're saying, who they're supporting, what they're doing off the pitch. I don't really know. So a lot goes into being a captain. It's not just like, oh, well, they're good on the pitch. Like that's, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Sammy says, Jan, can I come on to preview the Madrid game when that time comes if you want? Yeah, I don't really do previews, but you can come on the review. If I do a preview, you can come on, obviously, but yeah, if not, I don't really like previewing it because I don't like predicting results because I feel like I'm never going to say that City are not going to win because I don't like doing that. It's like betting against your team. I don't like betting against my team. So I don't really like doing that. But maybe I'll do like a Champions League show. And then you can jump on that and maybe before the game then. Nathan says, what was your favourite De Bruyne goal and why? Ooh. I'd have to say probably that goal against Real Madrid away when it was 1-1. Because I think he gave us that belief that we could actually go on to win the Champions League. I think that felt like we're serious. And we did go on to win it. So yeah, that probably for me, just because of kind of how it went after as well, the like long-term effect of it. But yeah, there's a lot, but I think that one. And then my favourite assist, considering he was more of an assist guy, was obviously the Gundogan one to win us the league. I think it was the Gundogan one. Yeah. When he like tied his shoelaces and then stuff and then and then put out a plate. Like, yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah, I miss De Bruyne. I really do. I think he could have done one more year, but he's just so injury prone. It's just the money he's on, like financially for the club, it doesn't really make sense to keep him. But like as a fan, I want to see him. I want to see him at City. So yeah, is hard like to kind of deal with that situation because obviously like he is a legend, like he loves the club, he wanted to stay, his kids were all like Mancunian basically, and it's a shame because it's just like how much of this season would he be on the bench? Probably quite a lot of it. It's a lot more physical, like I mean he's injured now for Napoli, do you know what I mean? But it's like with City probably would have been more likely to be injured because people would have been kicking him up. That game that we played against Villa, a game like that, De Bruyne would have got injured in, so it's just the reliability, and City are kind of sticking to that at the moment. So we'll see what happens with John Stones, because John Stones, again, excellent player when he's fit, but how often is he fit? And it's like, if you've not given De Bruyne a contract, granted, De Bruyne's on probably double what John Stones is on financially, it's like you can't really not give one guy a contract because of his injury record. And even Aguero, same thing with Aguero, like he didn't get offered a new contract because he wasn't reliable, he couldn't stay fit. and then go and give John Stones, who has the same issues, another contract. It doesn't really make much sense. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with John Stones, because I think with the other two it's a little bit different. Because Aguero, like, he was like, okay, fine, I'll go play with Messi. Obviously, Messi ended up leaving, but he did plan to go to Barcelona to play with Messi. And De Bruyne, like, he's not English, so it's a little bit different. Where it's like, okay, we'll go to Naples. He got married there, so it's like quite sentimental for him and his wife. So it kind of was a perfect move for him. You know, he's a bit older, it's a bit slower in that league. Modric went there at the same time, so it kind of like worked out perfectly for De Bruyne. But I don't know where John Stones would go if he left City. It's not as simple for him to find a club that's going to take him on. With his injury record, obviously he could go to like another Premier League team who aren't at the top for sure. But it's a bit of a risk. It's a bit of a risk to sign him. So I do think we might give him an extension, but I don't think it's really fair on Aguero or De Bruyne if we do that. So time will tell. Sammy says 2 bangers in that 1-1 game. Yeah, that was a really, really tense game, to be fair. But yeah, 2 brilliant goals. Lord Wakanda says, what's your feasible top 3 players you would bring in the summer? Top 3 out as well, bar Bernardo. 3 players I would bring in. This is an interesting one. Oh God, what do we even need at this point? Okay, so it's difficult because I actually haven't seen like a full season where some of these players are like settled in and playing. So it's interesting to see what happens with Marmoush, because Marmoush, obviously, I really rate Marmoush. But obviously he came in January, he played well when he came in, and then he's just been hit with injuries. So this season we've not really seen much of Marmoush. So I don't know how he's going to do. So I think if you're looking at City, you're probably looking at defence and the wingers, really. That's probably what you're looking at, mainly. I think with Doku and Savinio, I think if they don't perform, like if they continue on this kind of trajectory where they're all right, but they're not good enough, I think we will have to replace one, if not both of them. And I don't mean replace as in they get taken out squad or anything like that, but we'll have to bring someone in that, you know, is gonna get output, because we've had Mahrez, Sterling, Sane. We've been absolutely gifted with these wingers who have high output. So to go from that to kind of, you know, us being this many games into the season and none of them have got 2 goals to their name, do you know what I mean? It's not sustainable. So I think if they continue like this, I do think City will buy someone. I mean, we were heavily linked to Rodrigo, but we always are, because he always has good comments to say. I would have taken him in the summer, to be fair. I would have. I think now I don't see it happening, but at that time I saw it happening then. We've been linked heavily, and this is a player that I would. So this is one of my players, Elise. I think if we can get him, you have to go get him. You have to. Another player, a midfielder, because, you know, Kovacic is going to leave, Bernardo's going to leave. We're going to need replacements. A lot of people have been talking about that Anderson. I haven't really watched him enough to be like, yeah, I want him, but yeah, he's heavily rated to come in. Obviously, people talk about his name's just gone out of my head. Ryan would know. Ryan loves this player. I can't remember what his name is. Plays for Crystal Palace. It's just gone out of my head. It's completely just gone out of my head when I was going to say it. But yeah, there's a few options for there. But yeah, and then I think again our defenders, because there's just they're too injury prone. You know, Ake, I love Ake, love him. Injury prone. Do you know what I mean? Kusanov's come in now, and you know he's been really good, but then he started getting injured. So I think I'd probably get another defender. I'm not really sure who. I actually like Guy. I would have probably tried to get Guy. I think now, obviously, we're talking about no. Is it? One sec. I'll find out in 1 second. I don't know why it's just gone out of my head. But yeah. Yeah, sorry, that's it. But yeah, Wharton, that's who I meant. Anderson or Wharton. So one of them two. I don't think Wharton is accessible. I think he'll cost an absolute arm and a leg. Gibbs White, actually, that we were linked to, I would have taken him, not as like our only sign in, because I think a lot of people having meltdowns saying, oh my god, we're going for him. But it's like him as well as other players would have worked. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Bruno G from Newcastle, we love him, but he's dedicated to Newcastle, which is good on him. But obviously, I think he would have been great for City. Paqueta, when we were linked to him, he would have been a good addition. So there's been quite a few that we're linked to that I would have taken. But yeah, I don't really know. I think Elise definitely one. I would probably get like a guy. I don't really watch too much football at the moment, so there might be better players out there that I haven't come across or I haven't realised. Obviously, you've got defenders at the top teams, but the likelihood of us getting them players is very unrealistic. Even Elise, to be honest, is going to be difficult. But the fact that he is like English or grew up here, do you know what I mean? Like, I think he might come back if you put some good money down, and also if company, is planning to join City and thinks, yeah, you go ahead. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, whether we'll get him on, I don't know. But he is someone that I like. But we're not the only team that are gonna like him. Same with Guy. I think he's already he did agree to join Liverpool, so it's whether he stays loyal to them or whether he thinks, actually, no, whoever comes in with the highest offer can have me. I don't know. Like, it's going to be difficult because Liverpool definitely need a defender, so they are going to go for him. So yeah, I don't think they're necessarily realistic, but that's who I would have. And then top three out. Bernardo, yeah, I think he will go. I think John Stones, I don't know when his contract ends. I think it might be the end of the season. I think he might go just because, and I think Grealish will go. Hopefully Everton buy him. Calvin Phillips has to go. Surely he has to go. So yeah, that's probably who I'd get rid of. Ortega will also leave, I'm sure. So yeah, there's quite a few that should be going out. I'll probably get a couple more in. I reckon 3 players in the summer, unless we sign players in Jan, then maybe less. But yeah, I think City have been a bit quiet the past up prior to the January transfer window this last season. We were a little bit quiet, like we brought in a player or two, but it wasn't like a proper rebuild mode. So now it's going to take us a little bit of time. But yeah, what's in your quick thoughts about Bournemouth at home? Yeah, I'm not so sure. We're at home, we should be winning. Bournemouth are in great form, so it's not going to be easy. I think it'll be a close scoreline, maybe like a 2-1. Yeah, there might be quite a few goals. It could even be like a 3-2 or something, but it's just where we're going to get them 3 goals from, because it seems to be at the moment it's only Haaland scoring right now. But I think with Marmoush, Cherky back, that will change. So yeah, we'll have to see. Sammy says Elise is tough. Jan, Bayern are flying. That is true. He is going to be hard to get. I mean, we were linked to him before he went to Bayern, and then he went to Bayern, so it's just one of them. Another player that I would take, but obviously is unrealistic, is Yamal. City were after him. After Mahrez left, we tried to sign him, and Barcelona said no. And obviously you can see why. But yeah, it wasn't Pino, it was Wharton. I like Leao. Yeah, I think people just say he's inconsistent. Like, I don't watch him enough. Every time I do watch him, he looks good, but I don't watch him enough to have that opinion. Yeah, Sammy says inconsistent. Sorry, Nathan says inconsistent. Watched him Friday, was good. People who call him inconsistent most likely don't watch him. Yeah, I can't claim to watch him. Every time I watch him, he looks good. So I like him. Nathan says, I think it's a good time for Grealish to leave. Trophy-wise, the City move has been okay, but at City, everyone is a star. So he couldn't be the main man like at Villa, but happy for his form right now, though. Yeah, I think with Grealish, he was never worth £1 million, like £100 million, sorry. And I think the problem is when you come in with that price tag, it's a heavy weight to have on your back. And I think the expectations go through the roof and everyone's like, you have to do this. I remember when Pogba got 4 assists in one game and they were like, Souness was saying like, well, you know, for that money, you'd expect that. It's normal. And it's kind of like, well, come on now. Not everyone gets that regardless of how much they cost. So, yeah, I think it's just one of them situations. Like he was always going to have to be 10-10 to get ratings. And you know, he came in his first season, won the league, didn't do much in that, which, you know, obviously he played, but I wouldn't say he was like pivotal in that title race or anything like that. Second season, he was great, really, really good, played a lot of games, was heavily involved. I wouldn't say he's like one of the top 2 in that treble winning season or anything like that, but he was playing most of the games and he was contributing. Do you know what I mean? And with Grealish, what I did like about Grealish is he's not scared to drop back and defend. You know, if he loses the ball, he will be down there tackling people at the other end of the pitch. And I love that about him. Because not every player has that. Some players, you know, if they lose the ball, they're like, sorry, and they just kind of stay where they are. Whereas he would always be trying to get it back and always alert. And yeah, I liked Grealish. But I do think, you know, since that treble season, he just never really showed that again. And I know there was issues like off the pitch with obviously his behaviour and stuff and Pep and him, and I don't really know what was going on. But yeah, I think if you cost that money, you're kind of going to be expected to perform above everyone else. And I don't think he ever, you know, if you were looking at the City squad and you said, you know, one of these players cost that team 100 million, you would probably say Rodri or De Bruyne. You wouldn't necessarily say him. But I do feel sorry for him because he obviously wasn't worth that. He's worth what Villa wanted for him. And they were adamant that they weren't selling him for less than that money. And obviously he's English, so you've got to put an English tax on as well. And the fact they didn't want to sell him and we were in the same league, and there's so much stuff that goes onto it. Like if he was German or Turkish and, you know, he was going to Spain, he probably would have cost 30 million. Do you know what I mean? Or 40. So yeah, I think it wasn't his fault. And I think obviously he just had to deal with it. And yeah, he struggled a little bit. I think now he's at Everton, that pressure's kind of gone. Like people aren't seeing him as like an £100 million signing because he's not for Everton. He's on loan, so he's under a lot less pressure. And obviously, we're seeing the best of him. But yeah, I'm happy for him. Like I want him to do well. He's a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? Really genuine and stuff. But I don't think. I don't think it's really like. I don't see him coming back to City, put it that way. Or if he does, it'll be temporary. I think he'll end up either Everton will sign him, or if Everton don't sign him, another team in the league will pick him up. It's just his wages are high, so it's whether he's willing to kind of drop them or not. I don't really know. But yeah, he'll get snatched up. He's a good player. I just think the pressure was a bit too much for him, and the expectations at City, like say, are much higher than they are at like Everton. People play differently against City. You know, like you were saying earlier, people play a low block. You're not going to play the same way against Everton as you do against Man City. And I had an argument with people earlier in the season because they were trying to argue against that. And I'm like, well, no, like teams do not play the same against Everton as they do against Man City. They don't. Like, it's just, it's clear that they don't, So it's one of them things. Also, like I always say, compatibility. Some teams you'll just fit in like a glove, and other teams you don't. Luke says, City need Leao. We need someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. I don't really care who that is right now. Honestly, we just do. We really do. Nathan says, Souness has an agenda though, so don't listen to him too tough. Yeah, I don't listen to him, and just like, that's just something that he said. They all have agendas. They're all reactionary. These pundits, they're so you'd think as a pundit you would be more willing to kind of like consider all angles, like they should be the ones that are saying, guys, it's October, let's not overreact. That's what they should be saying. We've seen this happen before. We've seen some of these men are like nearly 50. They've seen everything. If you speak to my dad about football, he like he's not reactionary in the slightest. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why obviously it's part of their job, and like clicks, everything's about clicks nowadays. What can you say that's outrageous to get clicks? But at the same time, I just think like they should be the more grounded ones who are like, you know what? It's early days. We've seen this before. Anything can happen. Not like the league's done in October. So yeah, it's a bit weird to me, but each their own. They have money to make. So yeah, big up Nathan. Make sure you smash the like button if you're watching this. Hot take, but Minter is better than Rodrigo. Do you know what? I love Rodrigo. Like, I really like him. Like, he always plays well against us. But I think he's another inconsistent player. There's a lot of inconsistent sort of wingers. Like, you could even say Doku this season's a bit inconsistent because sometimes he's been really good and he's, giving the defenders hell. And then the next game, he's not as effective. He's definitely more effective than Savinho. He's definitely doing better than Savinho. But yeah, he's not doing enough right now. But yeah, Minter, I can't say that I've really watched much of him to even know how good he is, to be fair. But yeah, I think that is wild. I think Rodrigo is one of the better wingers in the world right now in terms of what is available. Elise obviously is not likely. You're not likely to get him. Salah's at the end of his career. If you look at the other wingers around, there's not too many that you could kind of get. I think Rodrigo's one of the only ones that you could probably go to Real Madrid and say, yeah, we'll take him. And I think if the money's right, I think they sell him, I think there's a reason why Spurs were putting up big money for Savinho, who is largely unproven. I just think the winger market right now for what you can actually get, who's available, it's not as good as it has been. We had Mahrez sat on the bench so many times. So much, like so many games. Like if a Mahrez is available now, every single team's snapping him up. Like, we need Mahrez back. I'll take Mahrez now. Like, he is just brilliant player. Sane's gone to Turkey. He's obviously, I don't think he met his full potential. I feel like when he was at City, it felt like he was just going to get better and better and better. And then he left, obviously went to Bayern. He was good at Bayern, but I just think if he'd have stayed, he would have gone up some levels. And same with Sterling. Like, Sterling at City was great. He always played better with a striker. Like, for England, he was brilliant because he had Harry Kane, like a traditional 9. I know Harry Kane likes to switch positions a little bit, but he's still the traditional striker in that sense. And we played false 9 for years, and it kind of suited Sterling, but not really. I think he always played better with a focal point, with a Aguero, or someone to kind of aim for if he's trying to pass it. And yeah, the minute we got Haaland, who arguably is the closest thing we could have got to Aguero, at the time. Do you know what I mean? He left, and I think it's a shame because I think both of them do really well if they stay at City, and I think City probably maybe even win a Champions League earlier if they have them. So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one because even Sterling in the Champions League, he had quite a few moments where things were different. Maybe he would have one, you know. So there's that. I just think our team clicked at the right moment. I think that treble winning season, it's like everything clicked. Defense, attack, goalkeeper, midfield, everything just clicked at once, and it led to a treble. Do you know what I mean? We were just switched on every competition. We're there for it, you know, bar the Carabao Cup. But everything else, it just kind of clicked, you know. It's nice when everything clicks. It is nice. Like at the moment, I kind of like when I'm watching City, I'm like, right, I can see what they're trying to do. It's just not working. Especially like Reinders, and you can see what he's trying to do. It's just not working. You can see what Sabino is trying to do. It's just not working. You can see what Doku is trying to do. It's just not working. So hopefully it does click. But yeah, I don't think there's too much. I don't think there's too much wrong that can't be fixed. I feel like that, and I think if we do bring in someone else to add to our squad, then it will help. I don't think we can go wrong with investing in younger midfielders because our midfield was very old. We brought the age down. Now it's more inexperienced. So we need to kind of get the balance between experienced and young. So it'd be good to get someone young who is experienced. Because like Foden is mid-20s, but he's very experienced. Whereas there's other players who are, you know, mid-20s that aren't experienced because, you know, they didn't make it as young as Foden, or they've not been in a team like City as long as Foden has. So yeah, it's just one of them things. Yeah, Rodrigo wants to play left wing. I know. That's the problem. We have so many like left-footed players in our whole team. So many. We love a left-footed player, City. So they all want to fight for the same position. Nathan says, I like Minter, he's cold, but never better than Rodrigo. I'd have to agree with that. But like I say, I don't really watch Minter enough to know. What happened to Matoma? People just like flavour of the month. Yeah, he was number one on everyone's list, and then all of a sudden he's not linked to anyone. It's kind of like Belieber. Belieber in the summer was very like linked to everyone, and then now it's kind of gone a bit quiet. So I have to say, Nathan says Mahrez, the master of the first touch and such a silky player to watch. And I just loved watching Mahrez, especially when we played like a French team. Like he hated PSG. When he came up against PSG, it was not that game last season. For if we're 2-0 up, we're not losing with Mahrez on that pitch. It's crazy. League says City win the league. I mean, I hope so, but it's way too early to even know what's going to go on with that. What's happening? Nathan says, Jan, thoughts on Oscar Bob and his potential and what he can achieve in his career at City. I feel sorry for Bob because I feel like he broke through, obviously very impressive at youth level, broke through, started playing, looked really, really promising. It looked like it was going to be his season, and then he broke his leg. And it's like, and it would have been because the injuries we had, he would have played. So he would have had a lot of games to like prove himself. Since he's had his leg break, obviously he's come back. He doesn't look the same player. But I think it's gonna take him a while to get back to where he was. It's not, you know, he's out for like a year. It's going to take him some time. So I'm happy like to be patient with him. You know, he's still young. He's a good player, you know, but I think at the moment, it's not really impressing people at the moment. But yeah, I'd give him some time, let him work his way back in. And then hopefully when he's like completely out the other side, hopefully he gets back to his best because he was a really promising player before the injury. So you see like specks of it, when he plays, but yeah, it's not working too well for him right now. I don't think he's creating enough. I mean, his first goal for us, like, I think was the Newcastle one where it was like a really good goal. So I want to see more of that. I want to see him creating chances. I want to see him having shots, stuff like that. I think it will come with time. I'm not too worried about City at this time in the season. It's if we're still like this in January, then that's when I'll start to say, okay, maybe we're not where I thought we were. Do you know what I mean? But for now, I just think it's gonna take him some time to get back to his best. And also, like, he's not playing every game as well. He's in and out, in and out. He probably needs a run of games, but the problem is, at the moment, we need to win. So it's not Pep's not got that time to kind of experiment too much. And if it's not working, they have to come off because we've got a game to win. So yeah, it's a little bit. We'll just have to see for now. Sammy says, but these days they love playing inverted, so left footers want to play on the right. Yeah, that is true actually. I mean, I don't really know too much like about, where people want to play and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, you're on the pitch, there's one goal, put the ball in the back of the net. Like, wherever you're playing, affect the game. Do you know what I mean? Are you telling me because you're on the wrong wing, you can't pass 5 yards? You can't put a ball in, you can't make a tackle, you can't do other things. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, do what you're on the pitch to do. Yeah, you're gonna have your side. Obviously, Doku has his side that he's better on. Sabino has his side that he's better on. Everyone does, but you just need to, players like Messi. It didn't matter where he was on the pitch; he was gonna affect everywhere. So I just, yeah, sometimes De Bruyne would play out wide. Sometimes he'd play in midfield. Like, sometimes he'd play, as a false nine. Like, he could affect the game from absolutely anywhere. And that's what I want. I want, when we bring in players, that's what I want. I want, because we've had an abundance of versatile players. We really have. Sometimes it goes against you. You've got sometimes when, you've got a centre back playing left back, they lack what other left backs have. And, if you're playing a midfielder in defence, they're obviously not as good defensively as you sort of proper defenders who are defender by trade. Do you know what I mean? They will make more mistakes and stuff like that. But then there's also other aspects, like a lot of people were saying the other day, the way football is at the moment, because of the way that other teams play, you kind of need your fullbacks to be technically good, because you need them to get forward and start, pushing that opposite winger back. So if they're like an Ake, I love Ake, he's a good defender, but he's not gonna dribble through three players and score a goal. Like, he's not got that ability, so you end up at a bit of a disadvantage if you have someone that's just a defender. I think they need to be versatile now. Like, look at Trent. Like, Trent, okay, defensively, not the best, but he could affect the game like no one else. Do you know what I mean? Like, the balls that he put in, all that kind of stuff, like, that affected how Liverpool attacked. And then because they're attacking so well, it also helps you defend. So I think, as much as, like, it's good to have like an out and out defender, I think you also need someone that can get forward and cause trouble. Do you know what I mean? Because how many times does, like, the ball drop to, like, Vardiol in a great position, and Vardiol can hit one? He can. Ake can hit one. All of our players can hit the ball, but you want it to fall to someone that can put it in the back of the net, that you're guaranteed to put it into the back of the net. You don't want it to fall to a player where you're like, oh, I don't know if they're going to blast this over. Like when it used to fall to Kyle Walker, like, don't even bother shooting, just pass it. I mean, we've come from days of having like Kolarov who could bend one in and stuff like that. So yeah, I think nowadays you need defenders, like almost like wing backs, almost. Even if they need to be able to defend, but they also need to be able to put the ball forward and put the ball in the box and get in good positions and take on, players and everything like that. So they have to be more versatile nowadays, I would say. Sammy says, look at PSG, fullbacks, they are match winners. Trent, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. You need like them to almost be match winners now, which is crazy to say because years ago a defender just defended. They didn't, like the days of Gary Neville. Gary Neville wasn't scoring match winners for Man United, putting it in from 40 yards. Like he wasn't doing any of that. So yeah, it's changed. The game's changed, and what you require from your left back and right back now are different, to what it was probably even 5 years ago. So yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, we've got Nunes. I like Nunes, but obviously he's not a natural fullback, so he does make mistakes. He does. And when you're a midfielder, you can make that mistake because there's, 4 or 5 people behind you to deal with that mistake. But when you're a fullback, you're probably the last man, or there might be one other guy if you're lucky. Do you know what I mean? So you can't make too many mistakes. Do you know what I mean? I think with Arsenal, what Arsenal have got, which is good, is they've got the likes of Timber, who is actually contributing with goals as well. So, it's good. That's what you need, But yeah, sorry to bang on. This was supposed to be a match reaction, but I've gone off on a tangent. So I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching this, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. And I will be back probably at the weekend. I might do a match reaction after Bournemouth. And then, yeah, I'm going to try and be a little bit consistent because I was not before. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.